Well, it seems like world football is kind of back to normal now. We had a full slate of English football games. European fixtures took place. It seemed rather boring. Brad, what did you think about it?
Yeah, definitely a boring weekend. Chelsea took care of business. We did what we were supposed to do against Fulham.
Sean, what about you?
Are you guys just going to ignore what happened at Old Trafford? This is Red Card Radio.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. This is Red Card Radio. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from three friends who support different clubs. This is going to be our look at the slate of games from match week 34, minus one game. My name is James.
That you guys ignored.
Yeah, it's true. We did. Well, it didn't take place. So how are we supposed to talk about a game that doesn't take place? But I'm James. I support Arsenal, the most frustrating team in North London. Next to me is Brad. He's got that's like a public Greyhound bus shirt on. He wants to show everyone that's Mason Mount.
I've never seen.
Yeah, someone take a seat on him because he'll take you from DC to New York. And down below us is Sean. He supports Tottenham Hotspurs. But boys, yeah. Absolutely not a boring weekend. Yeah, it's a crazy weekend.
It felt like out of nowhere. I won't say out of nowhere, but it felt coordinated. It felt pointed.
It was.
It definitely was coordinated.
Coordinated and pointed.
Yeah. So before we do this, we've got an order.
Got
to
a rundown.
We got an order to things. The first things first. We got to talk about what we're going to talk about. Of course, we're going to talk about the situation at Old Trafford. We're going to talk about City because they're very close to winning the title. They could have won the title if it weren't for the United fans. We'll kind of go through our team. So we'll talk about Chelsea, Spurs.
That close? Have I not done the math?
3 points. You also You didn't listen to me last week when I said that if City won and Liverpool beat United. But we'll talk about Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal, and we'll kind of run down the other results. Before we talk about Europe, the results in Europe in the Champions League and the Europa League, and then look forward to this week's slate of the final games in the semifinals, and then we'll look forward to next week's games. But first, like always, we check out the league table. I did have it updated. I am updated on the league table, of course. Manchester City, of course, is 3 points away from claiming the Premier League title. They can get that one of two ways. They either win their game.
83 is out of reach of anybody?
Yeah. So United's the only person who can get it. So if United drop...
Are they one person or no?
What?
The only team?
Yeah, United are the only team that can...
United's the only team that can catch them,
City. So
it's not going to happen.
Yeah, so if United win out and Manchester City only pick up 2 points from here on out, United will win. But
that's not going to happen.
No,
all right, so it's over.
It's been over.
It's been over. Yes. It's been over for a while.
I see that.
So the top four is the same. Chelsea has a 3-point lead over West Ham after West Ham won today. Spurs are creeping up. They're in sixth with 56 points.
I don't want to hear creeping up.
Okay, well
we played Sheffield.
You're still sliding up the table slowly.
Yeah.
Sean, this is my favorite quote. You can only play the games that are in front of you. So you took care of business. Anyway, Liverpool do have a game in hand on Tottenham that could see them overtake Tottenham for the last Europa League spot. Everton, Arsenal, Villa, Leeds. Leeds have dropped points because they lost a game. We look down to the bottom of the table. West Brom, they drew today against Wolves, which they're not mathematically relegated, but they're about as close as you can be. Fulham, after losing to Chelsea, things are looking quite dire for them. It seems like Newcastle, Sean's prognostication from very earlier in the season will not come to fruition. Steve Bruce and the boys will be safe, probably, unless some crazy stuff happens. But that's a look at the league table. So let's do it. Let's talk about this situation at Old Trafford. I'm going to kind of prime it for anyone who's not familiar with what happened. Manchester United and Liverpool were set to play each other at 11:30 a.m. That's Eastern time because that's the time zone we're all in.
By the way, just for anybody who doesn't know, one of the biggest rivalries in
Yeah.
in England. Period.
Yeah,
Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, United.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest rivalries in England. Period.
Yeah, certainly. So huge match, had big implications because if Liverpool did win, then City would have been crowned champions anyway. But so at about, I would say 10, maybe no, it'd probably be if the game was about starting at 11:30, at about 9:30 a.m. our time.
Early afternoon England time.
Yeah, very early afternoon England time. Protesters from a planned protest outside of Old Trafford gained entrance to the stadium there, and they made their way onto the pitch. The claims of certain journalists in the stadium were 400 to 500 people on the pitch at Old Trafford, and they went directly to one of the broadcasters' areas, Sky Sports in England, and they were chanting that they want the Glazers out. Now, the Glazers are the American owners of Manchester United who bought the team in the late 2000s, and they've never had a good relationship with the Manchester United fans. And the situation that unfolded 2 weeks ago with the European Super League coming out has only exacerbated this problem. And so they demonstrated on the pitch for 5 to 6 minutes before they all left. Some of the people that were on the pitch were doing general hooliganism things like kicking the soccer balls, and someone got up on one of the goals and was like laying on the nets, and they were taking selfies, and somebody picked up TV cameras and smashed it. So there was some tomfoolery that took place, but generally this group was there to protest the Glazers. Fast forward about 45 minutes later, a second group of Manchester United supporters gained entrance to the stadium again for a second time. Now we're only about 90 minutes away from when the game is scheduled to take place, and they kind of are meandering on the concourses. And what's kind of shocking about the second bust-in is that they didn't have like police inside the stadium at this point. They had the stewards who were there, but they're not trained to deal with this kind of situation. So like it's incredible that they were able to gain entrance a second time, and it's also equally interesting and kind of unfathomable that they hadn't gotten enough resources to secure the stadium, which I find unfathomable, like I said. So they meandered for about 20 minutes or so before a small detachment of police officers were able to come in and shepherd them out. So long story short, this game couldn't go on. It couldn't be played as scheduled. So that game was postponed. And it has come to light that this seemed to be the plan of the protest. And there were two protests going on in Manchester on Sunday. There was one at Old Trafford at Manchester United's home ground, and then there was one at the Lowry Hotel, which is the hotel that Manchester United stays at when they have a home game. So this all goes on. The Premier League is forced to postpone the game, and this is the first really palpable, kind of visceral example of fans in England
I would disagree with that.
Well, but
Chelsea's.
Yes, there were protests. I'm not saying that there weren't protests.
Peter Cech had to get out of the bus to allow the
come out the stadium
team into the team.
Yes, I'm not.
When you say palpable, I want to include Chelsea, and I don't want to exclude Brad on this. As much crap as I give him, they weren't going to allow that bus into the stadium unless Peter Cech came out there and played peacekeeper. So I just don't want to exclude Brad's fan base.
Saved football, we know this, but our fans behaved and didn't go into the stadium.
All right.
So, but I understand what you're saying. I just don't want to exclude Brad's fan base.
That's fair. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this whole situation? Let me start with you, Brad. I just kind of gave a long diatribe about what happened. What do you feel about this? How do you feel about this?
Listen, I'm all for protesting owners. I'm all for protesting when you want change, right? But there's ways to do it, and the destruction of property is never okay. Breaking into a stadium and causing a game to not be played is never okay. The first fans left
making players feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh snap! If we stay here, the game can't be played. We gotta go. And then the second group was like, okay, let's get the flares and destroy property.
Yeah.
They were throwing cameras. They were, of course, stealing the corner flags.
That's kind of that's the tomfoolery I was talking about. Some of those
they
people
actually had flares and they were throwing them at the owner's box.
No, that's not okay.
That's not okay. I don't know if this got the coverage that it would have gotten. Because something else that's really important to say about this is that most English outlets, every single FA team in England was on a social media blackout to protest racism when this happened. So like that's why it's taken us this long to figure out all the photos and videos and everything that's happened at the stadium, because there were no real journalistic things happening on social media through this. So I don't know even if it was effective, because like it's not like it got trending until
it was playing on purpose.
It was effective.
It was definitely effective because we're talking about it on a podcast in America. So,
well, right, but our job is to like what we do is we watch football. So we saw this. Like I was watching the game live, and it cut away from the Newcastle Arsenal game right after Arsenal scored. Like, I barely saw the goal, and all of a sudden it's all Old Trafford for the rest of the time for what they had, which was like 2 camera angles, which are the 2 resting cameras. So I think it would have been much more effective if the social media blackout wasn't happening. And
but the fans weren't blacked out. Like so, like the fans were tweeting about it. It's just like the institutions of English football.
Right. So there wasn't any recognition from the Premier League about it or anything like that. Like I think you would have had more. We would have had more statements. We would have had more dialogue had there not been a social media blackout.
So it seems to me, Sean, that you kind of share a similar opinion to Brad.
Well, what I feel it's similar in nature. Like I don't feel like what happened at Old Trafford is going to have the effect that they want it to have.
Mm-hmm.
But it was enough to wake people up.
Okay.
So it was. So what they want is change. I don't think that's going to happen. But what it did is wake people up. Of like, fans are not happy with this. So what it made me think was they're not the only ownership group. And let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like American owners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's call a spade a spade.
Hold on, Brad. Your face
said it a lot there. What do you got?
I don't necessarily think it's against American owners. I think
it's Chelsea's not rebelling.
But that's because
and neither is Man City.
But that's because Roman spends money.
No, because
it doesn't take money out of the club.
No, I disagree. There's a fundamental difference between the way Americans interact with sports as compared to the way that Europeans interact with sports.
That's what I was getting at.
So sports, these clubs were built out of groups of people coming together and like being like, I want to join the Sunday football league or something like that, and they play together, and then they they form a club of people, and it's a group of people that then build this over 125 years or whatever into what we see today. Whereas in America, you just pay. It would be like so in the NHL, the Seattle Kraken just made their final payment to the NHL of $650 million for their franchise fee, and now they're going to be allowed to play in the NHL as an expansion team. So it would be like if Swansea City,
Shrewsbury Town,
like anybody, Forest Green Rovers, whoever, paid their £500 million entrance fee to the Premier League, and now they're the next franchise. So it's a fundamentally different relationship between the way that Americans view sports and Europeans view sport. So I think that there is a huge pushback because they are American owners, and Roman Abramovich doesn't have that problem because he's Russian and he's they are part of the European sports model.
Before I keep going, I want to let Brad retort.
But coming into like that system, I think if Roman was American, but he was still spending the money he's spending and running the club the way he's been running it, like I don't see Chelsea protest. We protested the ESL because it wasn't, in that European tradition of having an open league.
ESL because of the same reason I'm just talking about, Brad.
No, yeah,
you're in the top division because you earned it. That's the point.
But
So you're talking about like spending money, the reason why
he's
Chelsea
he's not creating debt out of the club. We saw this, right? He's not taking money out of the club. He's pumping it with money. So there's a fundamentally different ownership style there than what's going on with Manchester United. What's going on with Tottenham? What's going on with Arsenal? I don't think it's necessarily. Sorry.
Even like James is in between, because Arsenal kind of do a little bit of both. Like they spend money every once in a while, but they would prefer to be net spend zero.
Well, so Arsenal prefer to be.
But they'll spend every once in a while, but Tottenham just do not. They do not spend.
Right. So, but I don't think that's because it's an American owner versus a Russian owner versus
a British
owner. I have an English owner.
City.
I have an English-based company owner.
Yeah. I know. And is there not protest against Levy's ownership? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, they want him out. It's because they're right. But that's different from Super League. They want him out because they realize Levy is the problem.
Correct. But
it's not Mourinho. It's not Pochettino. It's not whoever. All the managers that we've had, Redknapp. It's not any of their faults. It's Levy.
But
so that's what they're rebelling against.
And that's the point here, is that United's protest was similar to that, in that they want the Glazers out. It wasn't get out of the Super League, because Super League's already dead. Chelsea did that part. They did that part. But they want their owners out. So, we can't say it's an American problem if you're telling me that the same thing's happening with Tottenham.
It's against the Americans. I think it's against Kroenke. I think it's against the Glazers. I think it's against Fenway Sports Group.
But it's also happening against Levy too, is it not? You just said it was.
Well, that's a different problem. It's not about the owner. It's about Levy.
I think it's the ownership, the ownership style of what's happening with those clubs, because all of those clubs have very similar styles. Liverpool hasn't spent big money. Arsenal spent big money 2-3 summers ago.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Liverpool have not spent a lot of money.
Let me. I'll give you that. I want to break in real quick because and I'm invested in this conversation because my comment is about this conversation. But Brad, you brought up the point, why aren't they protesting Abramovich? Because Abramovich has invested money. But I would say that Abramovich, the reason why there's less pushback against Abramovich is because he has been inculcated in European sports methods and the club method his entire life, because he's grown up in that. He lived that. He's grown through that. Whereas the American owners are approaching sports from a franchise model. So I think that's an important distinction to make that I think that you're discounting.
I think it is too.
Okay, I hear that. American sports is different, right? Charlotte FC just got a club because we paid a ton of money for it.
I get that. I hear your point as well.
I don't know if you guys know, but the Glazers also own Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
They own a lot of stuff.
But
they own a lot of stuff.
Sean just said Levy, as an English owner, is having the same exact protests as the Glazers are, as FSG are, as Kroenke is. So
we're the only one.
It's just an American problem.
Okay, but I think what Sean is trying to say is that it's been 20 years of continual, we're almost there.
Blaming the manager.
Yeah, it's
blaming the manager.
So I think what Sean is saying is that I think my understanding is that Tottenham fans are seeing this as an opportunity to get on the coattails of the other types of protests.
That's exactly how I feel.
You nailed it. While they still feel this way, they've always felt this way. They didn't have a platform that allowed them to be vociferous enough to make their protests be heard. But now that these other things are going on against Arsenal, Liverpool, and United, they feel like they are emboldened enough to be able to ride the coattails a little bit.
This is the time. This is the time to strike.
So I'm going to say this: you guys seem like you're pro the idea of protest. You're anti the way this one went down, right?
Yes.
I disagree.
Yes.
I disagree. I am pro the way this went down, with a few caveats. I'm not happy that there was fighting between police and protesters. That's clearly not good. I'm not happy that the dude was picking up the camera tripods and smashing them, and that they were smashing the cameras. I could care less about Sky Sports camera equipment. Like Sky are not the good guys here. They were only mad about the ESL because they had been cut out of the ESL. So I have a hard time having sympathy for a multi-billion-dollar media company. But what I would have liked to see the United fans do, get on the pitch, have their green and yellow flares. I'm down with the flares. I like the flares. And I can understand the pushback of throwing flares towards people, but
Yes.
But I'm down with the flares. I'm down with them being on the pitch. I just wish they would have stayed on the pitch until they were all arrested. That to me would have been a much more effective, like an effective message. If 500 people were on the pitch at Old Trafford and they had to haul every single one of them out of there. Like, yeah, it's like a sit-in, like a traditional 1960s.
No,
like,
I agree with you.
I
like that.
I'm even if they did break down a gate, even if they did like illegally break down a gate and get in, that's clearly not ideal. That's clearly not cool. But these people haven't been listened to for almost 20 years. The Glazers have owned United for I think like 15 or 16, 15 or 16. I think it was 05. It was 05. So the Glazers.
And then they sold Cristiano. That's how the start of this thing. We'll continue.
The Glazers have owned United for almost 16 years now, and they've saddled the club with debt. They've saddled the club with debt, and they've taken money out of the club. But and this is one of the most profitable footballing entities, one of the most profitable sporting entities in the world, and they have no recourse.
It's next to impossible to saddle it with debt.
Yeah, right. So they have no recourse. The fans have no recourse to have their grievances heard. So I'm totally cool with them breaking down a single gate and going in and sitting on the pitch and saying, nah, we're not about this. We love Manchester United, but we don't like the Glazers. But the message is lost when people are out there with their cameras, they're taking selfies, they're kicking the footballs around, they're scoring goals, they're dribbling on the pitch. Like, the message gets lost in the tomfoolery. And then, so I didn't understand why they left so quickly. Like they wanted to, I guess they wanted to make their statement, leave, and then let the game be played. But the problem was the protest at the Lowry was making it so that was never going to happen because the club, and I'm cool with that too. Like we're going to stick it to the owners and say, if we don't want this game going on, we the fans of this club will stop it. And so I'm cool with that idea. I have no sympathy for the Glazers. I have no sympathy for Sky and their lost revenue. So will they be held accountable for the cameras they smashed? Absolutely. And I'm cool with having repercussions for the actions you take.
Absolutely.
But I'm also cool if they want to sit on the pitch and sit there with their flares and be like, nah, we're not about this. This is not right. This is our moment. Because this might be their moment to force this to happen, to make it untenable for the Glazers to own Manchester United. And if they can, so I was mentioning this to Sean before we started, is that I think that we have more situations like this coming because the Premier League wants to have fans in the stadiums for at least one home game for every club this season. So the last home game of the season, the Premier League wants to have fans in the stadiums. I think it's going to be a disaster at Anfield. I think it's going to be a disaster at Old Trafford. I think it's going to be a disaster at the Emirates. And I think it's going to be a disaster at White Hart Lane. I think at those four grounds, we are going to see some incredible scenes. I also think that wherever those 6 teams go, and there are fans in the stadiums, there will be very, very bolsterous comments against the owners. So I think that those games will be incredibly interesting. I don't think that anyone's going to get on the pitch. So there's a protest at the Emirates on Thursday before the Europa League game. There's no way that another stadium gets breached like this. But I could see with...
So our last game of the season is at Leicester. I
could see that with fans in the stadium, I could see fans invading the pitch at a certain point. I could see that happening.
When they have limited fans, do they allow away fans?
No, it's only going to be... It's only
500 away fans. 500.
I'm pretty sure it's only going to be home fans.
Oh, I read 500 away fans.
We're away on the last game.
No, but Sean, it's going to be your last home game of the season. They're going to rearrange fixtures.
So our last home game is Aston Villa.
Yeah, so there should be...
Also a London team.
There should...
If you paid attention to the podcast around episode 7.
That's a throwback for all of our longtime listeners. Sean
Aston Villa was in London.
Sean geography.
Because I'm an idiot.
But so I think that could be really interesting, those situations.
I agree with you. I said before the podcast, I said I don't think it's going to be... it's definitely the first. I don't think it's going to be the last.
Yeah.
I do not think this is done here at Old Trafford.
No.
I think this is going to be the first of many, because these fans are mad.
Oh, for sure.
And not just like, see, this is weird for American listeners. They're not just mad, oh, my team drafted the wrong player. This is mad, my entire life has been a sham mad.
The fabric of their club that they've invested their entire life in.
What I have gone to your game since I was 3.
Yeah.
This is how mad they are.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's done with Old Trafford.
No, certainly not. So, Brad, you wanted to have something. Get in here.
So, yeah, you jumped in. I'm sorry.
You're good. What do we think is more effective on those last home games for those 6 clubs? Is if protests or if no fans show up?
The problem is it's reduced ticket capacity. There are always going to be some fans.
Fans are showing up.
Like,
I don't think that's a thing.
Like that would be much more effective.
The most effective way to go,
in the stadium.
The most effective way is for the fans who go to the stadium to all hold signs that say what they want and to chant what they want, to support the team and support the players, because there is no beef with the players, there is no beef with the managers. There's some beef with the boards and there's beef with the owners. Like, and because the problem is, like, in stadium, unless they just all the fans that are there decide to invade the pitch at the same time and force the game to be called off, that could be a thing. But I think the more effective way of doing that is if that is your plan, is to do it. And I'm not advocating for this, but if you want to invade the pitch, do it after the final whistle. That would be my suggestion. If anyone's listening, we're gonna. But
all right. So what about Palace City? Let's talk about that.
Yes, we would love to hear your comments. If you have a feeling or opinion about what happened at Old Trafford this weekend, leave it on a YouTube comment, tweet at us, whatever, because we would really be interested to hear the takes, and we'll talk about it again next week. If we get some interesting comments, I will absolutely read your comment, and we'll talk about it next week, because I think that this is a super interesting situation.
That's at KS Brad, that's at James Tiffany, and that's at KS Brad G. That's at KS Brad G, that's at James Tiffany, and that's at Whiteheart_Sean.
Yeah, and the podcast is at redcard_radio, and that's all Twitter.
All right, let's get back to what we normally do.
So we'll talk about football now. We were talking about this before the game. There was nothing really super shocking or super exciting about the football this weekend, but it did take place, which is fun. So City beat Palace 2-0. That puts them 3 points away from the title. Now their focus is on the Champions League.
Where's their next game?
They are hosting Chelsea, which is spicy.
This is very spicy.
Ooh. So we'll talk about why that could be spicy in a moment. Because anyway, there wasn't much to talk about from that game. I watched a little bit of it, but it was just kind of it just was expected, in my opinion.
It's all expected.
Okay. Chelsea Fulham. Brad, you got Chelsea. Your boys beat Fulham 2-0 in the West London derby.
Very much expected. My boy Money Mace put in a good shift, got an assist, and Havertz had a brace. So I mean, we did what we had to do. We got out, no injuries, no new injuries.
So you guys are now still keep your 3-point gap on 5th.
Yes,
that's important. Now you're focused on the Champions League. Got Madrid at tomorrow or Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Okay.
Wednesday.
Yeah. Right. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Sean, you got any what do you got for Spurs Sheffield? Nothing.
That's it.
Nope. I guess we move on.
No, the hat trick was good, but it's Sheffield. Like, what do you want me to do? We're supposed to win.
Brad's doing a golf celebrity. He and Dele Alli had a little golf moment after he scored his hat trick, I think.
Yeah. No, it's Sheffield. Like, what do you want?
Okay, I will say.
Supposed to win.
I will say, I think the win was clearly expected. Gareth Bale hat trick is funny. It's hilarious. But then 2 points above 7th. And Liverpool have a game in hand. So it seems like that was a important game to keep the pressure on Liverpool for that final Europa League spot.
So it doesn't look like a Europa League spot.
Doesn't 7th? Doesn't 7th get Europa League because Leicester and Chelsea are both in the FA Cup?
UEFA conference competition. It's the third tier of European football competition that's coming in next season. It's a new so it's the UEFA Conference League, which will, if you thought it was bad in the Europa League to go to Azerbaijan, I could only imagine where you'll need to fly to in the Conference League.
I bet they're playing Atlanta United.
They're probably playing Siberia or something like that. Okay.
It's not necessary.
So apparently there was nothing to talk about for the Spurs game.
Nope.
Arsenal beat Newcastle away at St. James's Park. It was kind of a hard game to watch because in America, NBC did the picture-in-picture for the stuff that was going on at Old Trafford. And I'll be completely honest, my attention was wandering to the scenes at Old Trafford. Oba had a really nice goal in the second half, Bergkamp-esque in the way that he scored it. Maybe a goal for Oba gives him a little bit of confidence going into the Europa League, because we do need a result in the Europa League because we lost the first leg of the semifinal. So we do have to have a positive result. So maybe him scoring a goal will give him confidence that he will score on Thursday. But it was pretty standard game, pretty boring. Other results that happened this weekend: Southampton drew to Leicester 1-1. Should Leicester be worried about the collapse?
I was going to say that's interesting because now that puts us 2 points away, which means they're 5 points from West Ham.
Yeah.
So if we can make up the gap with Leicester, I feel a lot more comfortable locking in one of these spots. So
yeah. I
think we still play Leicester, don't we? That becomes 6 points. Yeah, that's a 6-pointer after Arsenal.
Yeah. So is the Leicester collapse happening again 2 years in a row? That'll be interesting to watch. Everton lost to Aston Villa at home.
You actually play them right after your FA Cup final. 4 days after.
But we play them in the FA Cup final.
Yeah, 4 days after you play them again in the league.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. So you guys play City this weekend. You guys
Arsenal FA Cup final, Leicester.
Yeah.
You forgot Madrid, City.
Oh god.
Mid-table team, so that's a break game. Leicester, and Aston Villa at the end. Sorry to get
this. This is what James was talking about last week. You guys have to pick what games you want to win.
And if you guys beat Madrid, you throw in either another matchup against City or PSG. So you guys have a really tough schedule.
Yeah, you're rough sailing over there.
Brighton beat Leeds 2-0, which is incredibly important for Brighton. I don't know if it mathematically guarantees them safety, but it effectively guarantees them safety.
Yeah, Brighton are good.
10 points, yeah.
West Ham beat Burnley, which keeps them on pace with Chelsea for fourth. That was a really important win for them today.
They should beat Burnley.
Of course they should.
Yeah, I looked like they struggled. I didn't get to watch the game because I was at work, but it looked like from looking at the scoreline, it seemed like they were actually down for a little bit and then came back.
Yes, they did. They did concede early, but they were in control after they scored the first goal. They were in control almost the entire match, in my opinion. And the goal they gave away was kind of a soft penalty. It was like a long looping ball over the back line. The Burnley player got it, kind of shook the defender, and then another defender was coming in from behind the play to stop him, and he's slid he hit him. So it was a penalty. And then West Brom and Wolves drew today, which probably means that Big Sam is down with West Brom. They were probably already down anid but it is what it is.
It means he'll be free to take over Tottenham.
We did talk about it in our text message between the three of us that we were going to talk about the next Spurs manager, and I did say, unironically, I think that Big Sam and Steve Bruce are legit candidates for that Spurs job, and I truly believe that.
I think Scott Parker is the bigger, more likely to happen.
Probably, but I'm just saying.
That's your next one.
I'm just saying.
Anyway, so what happened in Europe?
Yeah, let's talk about European football. So tomorrow is City versus PSG. City's hosting PSG.
That's a big one.
Yeah, City have a 2 away goal to 1 home goal they're up 2-1 with 2 away goals is the way I should say it. So PSG need a result. If they win 1-0, that's not enough for them to go through.
Yep.
So they need to score at least 2 goals, which PSG certainly can. I mean, like if there's a team in Europe that can score a boatload of goals, it's PSG. But City are notoriously stingy, so we'll see what happens there. I of course picked PSG to win the Champions League, so I think I got a Neymar hat trick coming tomorrow. What do you guys have any thoughts on that game?
I think it's going to be a very good game because PSG's got to go for it. Does Pep overthink it? Or
they're going to be full attack all day, every day. They're going to be full forward.
Well, Mbappe was seen limping into the team hotel today, so there's some questions about his fitness, which will impact PSG severely. But I mean,
no, Icardi starts up top. Oh no!
Yeah, it's embarrassment of
another
riches.
Goal scorer comes out.
Yeah, so
which I think happens anyways. I think Icardi up top and Mbappe coming on the wing. I think happens anyways.
But you heard it here first, Moise Kean. You heard it here first, Moise Kean. Everton legend, Juventus legend, Moise Kean. Chelsea Madrid. Brad, tell me about. You guys have a one away. If you guys draw 0-0, you guys are through.
Yes, we do, but we win 1-0.
You think you hold Madrid scoreless?
Yes.
Oh.
I do.
That was a super confident response.
Very confident, right? It's super quick too. Yes, I do, and I mean our results speak for it, right? Like 11 clean sheets out of 15 in the league since Tuchel's took over. Besides the West Brom game, I think we've given up 3 goals total, so 8 in his 20-ish games.
Yeah, Tuchel'd over.
And when Tuchel took over, and when Chelsea wins, it'll be the first time in history that both the women's team and the men's team have been in the finals for UEFA Champions League.
I thought about teasing that for you. I did see that on Twitter, that the Chelsea women's team are going to be taking on Barcelona in the.
We beat Bayern 4-1 in the away leg.
Yeah.
To take the aggregate 5-3. So yeah.
I can't pretend.
Gets it done.
I can't pretend to speak on that because I'm woefully ignorant on the women's game. I know that Chelsea's very good this year, and Chelsea have been very good for the past couple years. But I can't speak to how good Bayern Munich are or how good Barcelona will be.
Yeah, same here. I know a little bit about the English game, but not much. But no, Chelsea gets the job done. We're going through.
I still don't think you guys get this. I think Marcelo is going to be doing election duty on Tuesday. He's going to fly to London on Tuesday night, and he's going to have a banger of a match on Wednesday.
Ramos and Varane are still out.
Yeah. Well,
Varane is out now. He hurt his leg.
I thought there was talk that Ramos might be back.
Maybe, but then is he going to be match fit? And Mendy might not be back either. Is he match fit?
I heard.
And we know Eden's not scoring at Sanford. He can't. He's going to score an own goal.
I mean, I could see Eden Hazard having a big game.
I don't know, man. I don't know if you know, but there's this whole thing called the Christensen Penitentiary, and he'll just be the next name added.
Okay, I guess we'll see.
I was actually really excited about this Arsenal Villarreal game.
I'm excited about it too.
I texted you about it because you were not able to watch it real time. You watched it later.
Oh yeah, random power outage in Central Western Virginia killed me.
Well, that you would be the good news, bad news, and neither one gave away. The good news was that you got an away goal. Bad news was that you lost Ceballos, but according to you, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah. So the thing about Ceballos, so the reason why Ceballos is playing in the center of midfield is because Xhaka has to play left back. And so with Xhaka playing left back, the question is, do you play Mo El Neni or do you play Ceballos partnering Thomas Partey? And the idea I think that Arteta has is that Ceballos is more attacking than El Neni. Though I will say that El Neni has scored more goals this season than Dani Ceballos has. So maybe that's a flawed supposition that he holds. But Ceballos doesn't get into the first 11 if everyone's fit anyway. So I think what we're going to see on Thursday, so there's been talk that Kieran Tierney, he was in contention for last Thursday, So he was back, and there was questions about his fitness for last Thursday. That was always going to be short. He was always going to be short for last Thursday. So they didn't play him in Spain. And then there was talk, well, will he play on Sunday? I think that they've been holding him back, and that he'll play on I think he'll play on Thursday. Xhaka will go back to the center. And I think that we'll kind of get back to a more traditional lineup. But I also think that means if Tierney plays, that means Gabby Martinelli won't play. He won't start, at least, because if you saw, and Arteta spoke about this after the Newcastle match, is that he liked putting Gabby right in front of Xhaka, because Xhaka could kind of like bark at him and be like, "Go, Gabby! No, come, hold back, Gabby." He could talk to him and like tell him how he wanted him to play. And Xhaka is like he's like a field general. He's out there barking orders at everyone. He's always talking, and so that was really good for Martinelli in order to be able to like attack when he needed to or hold back when he didn't need to. So I think that means that we'll probably see maybe Pepe or Saka on that. So I think the front three is going to be Oba, Pepe, and Saka, and whether or not Saka's on the left or Saka's on the right, and Pepe vice versa, is going to depend on whatever Arteta wants to do. But it's going to be like Smith Rowe, Odegaard. It might be Smith Rowe on the left. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm excited for the match. I think the away goal was huge for us.
I thought you'd be excited about that.
Yeah,
Willian starts.
I forgot. I literally was going through the players in my mind, and I forgot that he was an option.
He's going to start. I have a feeling.
There's no way.
I have a feeling he's going to start.
There's zero chance. I saw a funny.
Let's see if I'm right or not.
Bro, he started against Newcastle for a reason.
Let's see. His contract still isn't up. He got 2 more years.
So
of game time.
I don't think there's a point to talk about Roma United.
There is something to talk about because, like we mentioned, I was without power last Thursday for the first time ever at my house, and when Brad said that United scored 6 goals, I almost didn't believe him. Like, he texted us, and I was like, okay, I don't believe him. And so then I watched the Arsenal game, and then they Paramount Plus switched to like a recap show, and I'm watching, and then Roma's up 2-1, and I'm like, what is Brad on? And then and then United scored 5, and I was just like, what is going on here? Want to buy defense, and so that was really that was intriguing, but yeah, so like I don't think that there's very, very, very little chance that Roma come back.
Roma's coming back.
There's no way.
They're my pick, so I'm going all in. Roma's scoring 4-0. I don't know who's scoring the goals, but
Henrik Mkhitaryan.
Yeah, and Desko, is Desko still there?
Who?
Desko, Dzeko.
Dzeko.
Dzeko, that's what I said. That's what I said.
Desko.
I said Dzeko. I just added the duh because I can't read Italian names.
Oh, Brad. He's not Italian.
I realize that. He's Bosnian. We haven't had stuff up in a while, though. I've been good with his pronunciations. Let's go.
As everyone sees Brad quickly Wikipediaing Dzeko's name.
Yes.
What's his? Remind me of his first name since you have his Wikipedia page open.
Eden.
Is it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I thought so.
I'm in the bathroom just for podcasts. I went to the bathroom. YouTube's gonna know. I'm in the bathroom like, what did you say?
Yeah.
Dzeko?
Yeah, like we could hear you.
Oh my gosh, Brad.
We could hear you.
I know.
Edin Dzeko.
Yeah.
It's almost like a J. It's almost like a J.
You can't tell me about pronunciations, Sean.
Yes, I can.
He can tell you on this one.
Dzeko. Edin Dzeko.
All right.
He's Bosnian.
Correct. Brad just got that from Wikipedia.
We just got that there.
So let's talk about this match week 35, which we have coming this weekend. We've got a full slate of games this weekend, so no weirdness. Kind of the games that I have picked out that I think are interesting. Leeds are hosting Spurs. Of course, City hosting Chelsea. Villa is hosting United. West Ham is hosting Everton. I highlighted Arsenal hosting West Brom just because I'm an Arsenal fan. And Fulham are hosting Burnley. Burnley is at 36 points. I mean, that is a 6-pointer, but probably not enough for it to matter for Burnley if Fulham beat Burnley. But yeah, what are you excited about the Leeds game, Sean? I know you're a big fan of Bielsa's football style. Are you excited about getting to take on?
I'm excited to see our future manager put his tactics on the field. Yeah.
Actually, he's out of contract. I think at the end of the year. I think
he is. Yeah.
Well,
I think he signed the extension just before the year.
Here we go. No, I got nothing. We should win the game. There's no reason we shouldn't, and if we don't, then I'm going to be a little upset. Leeds are a mid-table team. We should be able to handle this. Like, this should not be an issue, and that's why I keep putting in those pretenses, because it's Spurs.
Yeah, I noticed you're saying
we should win. We should win. We're supposed to win. It's Spurs.
Yeah. Brad, tell me how you're going to get 3 points at the Etihad this week.
I think it's a draw. If I'm 100% honest, I think it's a draw. I think it's like a 1-1 draw or 0-0 draw. Tuchel hasn't lost to a top 6 team yet, top 6 manager yet. So I don't see us taking it out, but I want to get through Wednesday before I'm like, yeah, we're going to dominate City.
Okay, you're not a football player. You're not a manager. You don't have to do this whole focus on one game at a time. No.
Of this Wednesday game. Yes.
No.
We're going to the finals.
I categorically dismiss this thinking from a football podcast pundit that you can't look past one game and think about the game at the weekend.
Okay. I'm still doing it.
You're the absolute worst. So the reason why, this game could be interesting because it could be a preview of the Champions League final. That's what I was alluding to earlier in the podcast that I said we would talk about later. Because if Chelsea and City hold their results and or build on their results in the Champions League, that will be the final. It'll be City versus Chelsea.
Yes, sir. And last time we met them in a cup tournament, we dominated them.
I think that the FA Cup semifinal will be slightly different than
important.
The Champions League final. Interestingly enough, both of the European finals this year could be all English. Last time that happened, Liverpool won the Champions League beating Tottenham, and Chelsea won the Europa League beating Arsenal. That was 2 years ago. So, Villa United. Is this going to be interesting? So United, the nice thing for United about this game is they can kind of take Thursday a little bit easier than they might necessarily would have had to if they didn't score 6 goals against Rome already. I still think that they play a strong squad in the Europa League, but I think that you might see more like halftime subs or 60th minute subs to get some of the more important players off. So they might be more fit for Villa. Villa's playing well.
I mean, but yes, they are. But like, what does United have to like? United doesn't have anything to really play for in the league. It's not like they're going to catch City.
Well, the league might be over at that point. So if City beat Chelsea, then it doesn't matter. It won't matter anymore.
What does United doesn't have any? Like, I don't see them specifically resting players in the Europa League match for.
They have a game in hand on Leicester anyway, so.
I mean, pride. I guess
they're realistically 70.
If you think they're beating Liverpool, I think that's more of a draw. So I think they're 1 point up.
7 points up. Okay, yeah. So they're
5 points up.
That makes them 5 points up. Yeah, they're good. I think Brad's right. They don't have anything to play for.
I think it's a pride.
You're finishing second.
I think it's a pride thing, and I think if you give your youngsters some time, they want to show that they can play for Manchester United. So
yeah, I think Greenwood definitely starts this game.
Absolutely. West Ham Everton. So this is an important game for both these clubs because both these teams need to win because Everton are holding on to the slimmest hope that they make it into a European competition. I think that they'll be happy if they finish 7th, because I think that would also mean that they finish above Liverpool, which will make Everton fans happy. But I think that they're like holding on to this like pipe dream that they could finish 6th and get into the UEFA, the Europa League. So
I want to see Everton win that game.
I know you do. West Ham only have this to play for. I think this is the one game that is the difficult game for West Ham left.
Yeah.
So I mean, if West Ham win this game and Chelsea drop points, things
It's
for
close.
fourth gets real spicy. Real spicy.
I'm rooting for it.
Yeah, Arsenal are hosting West Brom. Unfortunate for West Brom, they will be without their best player. Ainsley Maitland-Niles will be unable to feature against his parent club, so that's bad news for West Brom and Big Sam.
Gallagher will cover.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I expect Arsenal to win, which means they will lose. And especially they'll be coming down from a bit of they'll get a big high on Thursday when we beat Villarreal pretty hard, and so they'll be coming down from that Europa League triumph. So that's the game that Williams starts. By the way, Brad, is next Sunday.
We didn't talk about Unai coming home.
Yeah, Unai's coming home.
I wish there were fans for that
We
one.
did
That
talk
would be
about it.
nice.
Where were you, Brad? We talked about.
No, we didn't. But we didn't mention that it's Unai, the former Arsenal manager, coming home to retake the Emirates.
He apparently he tried to sell Mikel Arteta his house when he was moving. Apparently he called Arteta up on the phone and was like, "Hey, I hope you do well at Arsenal. I've got a house you could buy from me. Do you want to buy my house?" So maybe Arteta will have a room for him to stay at.
In his old house.
No, Arteta didn't buy it, apparently. I would imagine Arteta still owned a house in London from when he was an Arsenal player. I would imagine he hadn't sold that house, because if you're a wealthy footballer, why would you sell a house? It just seems like, especially if you're in Manchester, it seems like owning a house in London is not a bad idea. But especially if he ever had aspirations of managing Arsenal, which clearly he did. Anyway, that's a super tangent.
Yeah, wow, that was a great tangent.
And then rounding out the week, I think it's next Monday, is Fulham is hosting Burnley, which is, I talked about this at the stop, was at the top of this thought process, a 6-pointer, but they've got 9 points separating them, and so they will only gain 3 points on them. So it seems like even if Fulham win, it's too little too late.
Yep. That's it.
That's all?
We missed out on when does United Liverpool play.
I'm not here. I mean, honestly, they should just
right now.
they should just award Liverpool a 3-0 victory because United couldn't control or protect their stadium. That's my opinion.
I actually don't mind that.
I mean, why is it Liverpool's fault that they showed up to a game or they were trying to show up to a game and they couldn't go because the supporters of the home club were trying to do what they were doing? How is that Liverpool's fault?
It's not.
Yeah. That seems like that's a Manchester United problem. Of course, that's not going to happen, but I think it should.
Right, but it's a scheduling conundrum because we don't have long until the league is over.
I mean, it's a scheduling conundrum for United if they make it to the cup final. But are there any Premier League matches on the weekend of the FA Cup final? I mean, I know that English football likes to keep the FA Cup final kind of sacrosanct and by itself, but and I guess you'd want to play it before Championship Sunday. You'll just play it at a midweek. After this weekend. So no. After this weekend, you'll play it next Wednesday. Or something like that, because United will not be in the Champions League, won't have European football, and Liverpool won't have European football next Wednesday or the Wednesday after.
They have Leicester then.
Okay, so just throw another game on.
Between the 12th and the 19th, they'd have to find that would be the time.
Okay,
I think.
There's no problem finding a time.
Well, no, because 8th, 16th, 19th is 23rd is Liverpool's schedule, so this is a hard game to reschedule.
I didn't look at the calendar, but I fully believe that they can.
They will, and they'll move games around.
They might need to bump like a Liverpool weekend game back like 24 or 48 hours or something like that, which is easy to do.
Right.
I don't see this being a problem. But yeah, we're done. Does anyone have a Snapple fact that they want to interrupt me with? A dad joke, anything like that?
Yeah, James, I got one for you.
Okay, great. What? Tell them. Lay it on the people.
Do you know why chicken coops only have 2 doors?
Do I know why chicken coops only have 2 doors? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because if they had 4, they'd be a chicken sedan. There you go.
All right, we probably should have seen that coming, Brad.
Yeah, we did. We definitely should have.
Wow. All right. Thanks, John.
Wow.
All right, guys.
Yep, there you go.
That's my dad joke repertoire.
This has been our look at the Premier League after match day 34. This is Red Card Radio. We are Red Card Radio. You can find us on Twitter, YouTube, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all your favorite things. Share it with a friend. They can find us, whatever their favorite podcaster or media consumption platform is, they can find us. But yeah, follow us, like, comment, subscribe. I really am interested for the people who listen, for the some number of you that there are. Give us your opinions on this thing at Old Trafford. I'm really curious to know what people think, what people feel, and we will if we get comments about it, if we get tweets, we'll talk about it next week. Again, and talk about your thoughts and talk about your opinions and your feelings. So hit us up on YouTube, hit us up on Twitter. We are at redcard_radio. The man to my left on the top row wearing that Greyhound bus seat kit is at KS Brad G. Right below us, repping his Atlanta Spur. Anyway, wrong
baseball podcast.
Wrong hat, bro. Is at Whiteheart_Sean, and I am at James Tiffany. Really appreciate you guys listening. Thanks so much, and we'll catch you guys next time. Good night.